So all this nonsense about insurrectionists, let's put it straight, what no media wants to say, but what is absolutely the truth, and all it takes is logic and common sense. This is who the insurrectionists are. This was 2020, went on and on and on, and set fires, and a bunch of politicians supported it. Globalist politicians. And this didn't just go on in America, it went on in the UK, in Australia, everywhere, because it's a globalist agenda. Black Lives Matter co-founder says our goal is to get Trump out. So here is your insurrectionists. That's how corrupt our justice system is. That's how corrupt our politicians are. These were the insurrectionists. And they got into office. Yes. Black Lives Matter activist Cori Bush defeats incumbent Lacey Clay in Missouri primary. And then we have, of course, Ilhan Omar out of Minnesota. AOC, yes, all George Soros funded, just like BLM is. So it's really a shame. It's really an embarrassment that all of the Supreme Court justices in the country seem to be lacking common sense. Like, how can you even protect the country or do the right thing when you lack basic common sense? And all your major industries and big companies got on board with these insurrectionists. Yes, American companies poured over $82 billion into Black Lives Matter movement think tank. It was all designed. It was all an agenda. They knew they were going to burn cities down. And what did the Chicagoland, and I'm sure all over the country, hospitals do? They gathered together to put out their statement that we all stand with Black Lives Matter. They stood with the people that were outright saying they wanted to overthrow America. They wanted to burn it down. They wanted Trump out. They were going to do anything they had to. Now tell me again how January 6th is an insurrection and nobody ever called this shit out for what it was. New York City mayor helps paint Black Lives Matter mural in front of Trump Tower. Did you know that they didn't even get approval to do this? They just did it? Yeah. Antifa, Black Lives Matter linked to violence against Trump supporters in Washington. Of course they would. Trump has been trying to protect the country and trying to protect freedom. But the insurrectionists are all the major companies in every industry practically. Pepsi, Coca-Cola, the hospital systems, all the major corporations. It's sad. It's very sad that they all took part, whether just by funding it, just by supporting it, but all of them could have denounced their positions by now, couldn't they? They all could have denounced their positions of supporting people that burned cities down. They haven't. Lawmaker who called for people to loot and burn houses with BLM signs being probed. There's tons of articles like this. The mainstream media was on board with the insurrectionists of 2020, and not the ones at the Capitol, but the ones that were in major cities and all throughout the country that were terrorizing people, burning cities down, that were committing terrorist acts. The voting reforms that should come from BLM Memphis founders' illegal voting registration conviction. How interesting. Black Lives Matter sues Trump administration over law enforcement measures near White House. Yes, of course, this was in 2020. And politicians on the right and the left supported all this anarchy, supported violence, supported destruction to cities, stood by and let it happen, most especially in democratic cities across this country. So for any news outlet or any Supreme Court justice to act like any of us should respect any of you people, and I don't just mean in Colorado, but I mean in every state, You got to be out of your mind. You had blinders on to everything everyone else saw? No. You're either bought out or you're too weak. Either way, none of you should be on any Supreme Court in any state.